Hey guys, what's going on? So I decided to kind of piggyback on a couple of Dr. Watkins' videos today. He was talking about Cardi B. I watched a little bit of that, and then like basically representing her representation of black women. And then I also saw that he was talking about mothers giving up motherhood, or that motherhood shouldn't be a dream killer. I haven't watched that one either, but like I said, I figured I'll take advantage of that and also talk about a similar topic. In $40 Million Slaves, there's one chapter about black women in sports, and I wanted to make a separate video of it because I just think that it's really important, and that it's like basically it's just to me it's a separate issue because there's so much intersectionality that it needs to be I just felt like it needs to be talked about by itself. So in the book it talks about Lucia Harris, she's a basketball player. She played for Delta State in during the 1974 to 77, I believe it was. And in 1976 she helped the United States women's basketball team win a silver medal. And then when they did like this years later, I think it was like in the 90s or early 2000s, they did kind of a look back, remembering like back when. I think it was actually a 30-year anniversary, so it was probably 2006 then. But they did an anniversary honoring all those women, and lo and behold, she got snubbed. And I think it's what's really important, just in not only in sports but just in general. Black women have really had it tough because, of course, they not only dealing with the fact of being black, just like the male counterparts, but they also have the disadvantage of being women. So their movement or any sort of gains that they had to that for them to get, they really had to get on their own, because in each group they were marginalized. They were marginalized they were basically left out or marginalized in the black struggle, and kind of pushed, even though they were people like Loretta King. And I'm not really familiar with it, but I know that there was a lot of women that were a big part of the civil rights movement that nobody talks about. They just talk about people like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And then on the women's side, again, white women don't give two F's about black women. Again, they got left out of they still do. They get left out of the feminist movement. They're basically just there as a numbers count for white women, just to get their numbers up. But there's nobody specifically addressing issues for black women. It's just they get grouped in with women. And one of the things in the book it references, talking about Susan B. Anthony, that at Seneca Falls, she said that she would give her right arm before she gave the Negroes the right to vote before women. So again, but yet we talk about Susan B. Anthony is talked about as this great person, but we don't talk about the truth about how black women get marginalized. And as far as sports goes, I think it's really important, especially nowadays, like right now, with all of these allegations of sexual harassment of mostly old white men. Now there was recently Russell Simmons had to step down from like some of his positions because of the accusations against him. And I'm not trying to say that that black athletes or artists, entertainers, that they don't value their women, their girlfriends, their wives, but they don't do it publicly enough. So this is a perfect time when black men can stand up, get together, and say, "This isn't us." Like that we value our women, and that we make sure to teach our sons, to teach black men in the community how to correctly teach men. Now, again, not to say that they're not doing that, but they're definitely not making a big effort to do it publicly. The only time I can really think of that when people have done that is sometimes, I believe, like LeBron James gives a shout out to, gives praise to to the things that Serena Williams does, but really there's nothing major. We don't uphold black women. We allow the media to take that narrative, and we allow white people to tell us when and what we can do as far as supporting black women. And what I mean by that specifically is the only time that I really know about black men coming out publicly in sports, because I don't think there's really anything in entertainment, but mostly in sports, is during breast cancer month, when you'll see a lot of athletes wearing pink for whether it's just any woman in their family, was their mom, sister, aunt, nieces, anybody that close to them that has suffered from breast cancer, or if it's just a cause that they think is important, you'll see them wearing pink. And again, that's allowing white people to control a narrative. When and when we can say it, just like people may not talk about things going on in the black community, but all of a sudden they'll bring up, somebody will tweet like a Martin Luther King quote or something just because it's February. And we can't be doing stuff like that. We need to be able to control our own narratives. And then as far as the media goes, again, like there's nothing wrong. I have nothing against Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Remy Ma, any of these people, how they want to create their brand, how they want to sell themselves. If they feel like they see sex sells, so that's how they're going to do it, with just basically putting their bodies on display and kind of basically making so much noise that you don't focus as much on their lyrics. But again, it's not something we shouldn't allow that to be the representation in the media of black womanhood. And that's how most people view black women, that these over-sexualized, promiscuous people. I remember one of the things that's interesting is talking to black women about, how they are portrayed by just white people in general, but specifically white men. For instance, me personally, because it's something that's very important to me, because I genuinely love black women, and like there's something it doesn't compare to any other women out there. They hold a special place for me that I just don't view other women, that I just don't view other races of women. It's just the strength and the beauty. I would say that one of the most appealing things is just natural beauty. All they have to do is take care of their skin, and that's it. They just have a natural beauty. They don't need to be wearing makeup or doing any of this stuff. Like you see most white girls, they wear the mascara and stuff on their face, and before they go to bed, they take it off, and it's like a whole nother person. And then you see women who do that for 20, 30, 40, 50, they do it for their whole life. And once you get to, once you start pushing your 40s, all of a sudden in their 30s and 40s, when they start to wipe that off, it's like there's like a permanent, like a permanent residue from them caking makeup on all the time. And that was just never appealing to me. But the reason why I make sure to, be very genuine about that is there's a lot of white guys who give a bad notion. Like, I don't want people to think to me, a lot of black men, it borders more of a fetish where they're pretty much into any woman that's black because they have some sort of connotation of promiscuity and just really, high sex drives and all this kind of stuff. And really, they're no different, if anything less so than white women are, or any other races. It's just how the media portrays them and how they portray themselves in entertainment of over-sexualization. Like with the Nicki Minaj, where they wear the tight stuff that basically shows off their curves, and wearing clothes and stuff that has half their ass hanging out. And of course, or stuff in the media where you go on Facebook, social media, you see whole tons of women posting these pictures, like where they sit up on the sink showing their ass off, what I find ridiculous, to me, what the most ridiculous thing is, when you see women who turn around and look at the camera with their ass, facing towards basically their focus, and they're, looking around, looking back at the camera. It's like, okay, like I said, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do, but you can't complain about, men ain't it, men ain't this, men ain't that, da. Like, well, look how you portray yourself. You're, again, even for somebody who respects women, if I'm single and I want sex, that's who I'm going to go talk to, because that's what you're offering me. You're offering me, when you put your body on display like that, that's what you're offering. You're offering sex. Nothing about that, when I see a picture like that, nothing about that to me says, I'd really like to have a long-term relationship with that woman. No. That's the woman that I'm trying to come through and get up in it. I don't see it that anything serious. And if you're able to, if you do, like I said, post pictures like that, and you're able to find a good guy, well, that was on him. That's completely on him. That's because he just knows better, and he knows how to treat women regardless. But most men, like a lot of the guys that I hang out with, they're not going to do that. They basically let the woman the woman take the lead. So if you're advertising that, that's exactly what they're going to take. And if you're a woman who, showed your face and was more about your intellect, then that same man would respect that. He'd still try to get up at it just because, that's the player up in him. But at the same time, most men are just going to take what you give them, simply put. And also, a bigger problem too is that women, like I said, the Nicki Minaj and Cardi B's, they also outshine, they shadow women like Serena Williams. Serena Williams is probably, I would say, arguably one of the top, the top athlete, easily one of the top athletes of our generation, easily. She's been, her and her sister have been dominating at the top of dominating women's tennis ever since they got into it. So at least 15 years, and you're talking about a sport where she's, what was it, before she had her baby, I think she was 31 or 32 or something like that. She was still at the top of her game, winning titles, which is largely unheard of in tennis. You don't, typically speaking, once you start to hit 30 and beyond, that's when you start to fall off. And not only like if you compare her to the men, it's like yes, she if you compare her to the men, like Roger Federer, he was able to, he recently won, I think a French Open or something like that, a couple, during the summertime, which was, I think he was like one of the oldest or the oldest people to win at Wimbledon, which of course is impressive. However, he's not at the top of his game. For Serena Williams, every single tournament she plays in, she's the favorite to win it, no matter what. She's the favorite to win it. Even like Tiger Woods I don't think his reign was when he was the same. Like he used to be the same way in his prime, where every time he was he stepped on the golf course, he was always the favorite to win. And it's very difficult. It's not an easy thing. That's not an easy thing to do. It's unheard of, quite frankly. But yet she doesn't get the attention she deserves. People like Maria Sharapova, she got about as much or maybe even more press coverage than Serena did, and she's done almost nothing. I mean, she's a top, she's a top tennis player and she's won some majors, but she's nowhere close. She doesn't come anywhere close to Serena Williams. And not only that, but again, she not only with her race and everything, but she also has dealt with it her whole life in the media of sports writers don't give her any respect either. I remember recently there was a guy that called her a gorilla because generally because you don't black women just have a more athletic build, a solid build. They're not fat. They're not I don't know what do you want to call it, just like you said, fat, overweight, however it is. They're just solid. That's to me, that's what a real woman looks like. That's what the curves where it's like they're like I said, they can have a flat stomach, but they're solid. Like for instance, my girlfriend, that's how she is, and that's what I'm attracted to. That's what I find beautiful about her. That's what I find beautiful about her. I don't think that she's fat at all. But yet, you like women, because of the way the media works, you'll have women who they'll associate beauty with a number, with the scale. And I hear like her, and I've heard like other women that I've talked to, they'll be talking about, oh, I just want to lose 15, 20 pounds. I'll be like, whoa, what? Your stomach will be dented in. Like, you're not made that way. TNA weighs a lot. It weighs a lot. You can't lose that. And a lot of women, like she talks about, she wants to literally run her ass off. But again, that's what I find beautiful about her. That's what I find attractive in her. And I wouldn't want her to change that. If she wanted to lose 5 pounds, that's okay. It's not anything that it's not going to make any difference to me, but if that makes you happy, then if that makes you happy, so be it. But it's just that's an athletic build, but again, because of white supremacy and this psychological thing, that's discouraging, and they see beauty, they try to compare themselves with white women and try to emulate that beauty rather than embracing their own and understanding their strength and where that comes from. And again, too, with sports I remember too also Andy Murray actually had to correct a sports reporter who was trying to give him credit for they were trying to say like he was the first person to win a major and a gold medal in the same year, I think it was, and he was just like, I'm pretty sure Serena Williams has already gotten that. And again, you know, with that, and then when we talk about great athletes, unless you're a person that's specifically, you know, you're knowledgeable, that you have that mindset, you're going to say people like Tom Brady and LeBron James. You're not even going to mention, most people wouldn't even mention Serena Williams, even though like her dominance is nobody compares, period. You know, people probably talk about Billie Jean King before they talk about Serena Williams. And I'm willing to bet that she would do a lot better against guys than she did. And not only that too, but also I remember last year, it was this year, in the women's basketball tournament, the UConn women were up to the championship game. We're on I believe it was 118 or 100 it might have been 120 game win streak, which is crazy because not only were they on a win streak, but in the last like 5, they had only lost, I think, 2 games or something, 2 or 3 games in the last like 230 matches, 230 games, something like that. Because before their last loss, which was during the season against Maryland, they were on I think a 96 game win streak, and they might have even had one before that was like 86 or 92, and nobody talked about that. And again, that's just unheard of. That's crazy. That needs to be acknowledged. And it's stuff like that basically whatever women want, that attention, they want that praise, and they want that same sort of success that they see men getting, and they're going to get it whatever way it happens. So they see a lot of women see more to gain from rapping and perhaps being an actor, and so-called this, feminism of owning your sexuality. Okay, I guess, I mean, personally, that to me, that's just hoeing. You just being a hoe. You are selling hoeing. That's not strings. Like when I went to the All Black National Convention, hearing Zayza Ali speak about the perseverance and strength of the black woman, that's power to me. That's what really gets my attention. That's what would make me submit to women. That's something that's the type of woman that I would honor. That go off of their brains and that embrace the struggle and their beauty and all the pain that they go through, and understand it basically that we should live in a more matriarch, that things would be better if we lived in a more matriarch society. Because how do we just push women to the side when we came from a woman and women raise us? It's baffling that we have this disconnect, and for instance, I'm very big on the idea of family, of not being blood, and I speak of that in particular because I lost both of my grandmothers at relatively a young age. I'm 25 now, and my maternal grandmother passed away when I was 20 or 16. So now with my girlfriend, I've embraced her grandmother as my grandmother. And so when I become, my mission of becoming successful is I want to be able to take care of her. But I'm running out of time now, so I'll have to go. See you guys later. Please like, share, and subscribe. All right, peace.